In this example, we will learn about prepared statement. As you can see on line number 16, we have declared an object of prepared statement type as opposed to statement type, which we have been using in our previous examples. So prepared statement object allows me to write an SQL statement which is not 100% done, but will have some missing components which will be filled in during runtime. For example, I need to write an SQL statement where I need to accept the start ID and the end ID of all the employees so that I can grab only those employees that fall within that range. I can't do that with the statement object because statement object requires the SQL to be completed ahead of time. Prepared statement allow me to complete my SQL statement during runtime. So prepared statement is what I've used here. So if you look at my line number 23, I wrote my select statement, select star from employees, where employee ID between, and I wrote two sets of question marks. These question marks will be filled in during runtime. So what we have done is we have declared two variables, start ID and end ID. We're accepting their values from user. This is something that we have learned in the previous classes, how you accept an input from user from the console. And then we start replacing the question marks with the values. So all the question marks are automatically sequenced. So the first question mark will be 1, the second question mark will be 2. So that's what I'm doing. I'm putting 1 and I'm putting start ID. So start ID will actually go in place of 1 in the STMT, which is my prepared statement object, and number 2 represents the second question mark, so end ID will going to go in place of the second question mark in the STMT, which is my prepared statement object. Then, just like with the statement object, I can call execute query. With the prepared statement object, I can also call execute query. The result will be stored in result set, and I can then traverse through the result set and display the output. So there are some other components of this example which I'm going to explain in the next part, but in this part, I only wanted to talk about the prepared statement. Let me demo this example. So when I run this example, it asks me for a start employee ID and an end employee ID, and here you go. It gives me all the employees only between the start and the end. How I'm doing the column representation and how am I pulling in the field and their names from the database, we're going to be looking at some metadata stuff in our next example, which will help you understand how we are doing that component. As far as the placement in columns is concerned, this is something that we've learned in our previous classes where we talked about system.out.printf. System.out.printf as opposed to println. This is where you can give a %s, which represents a data type, 20 is the column size, and a negative sign represents left align. And I am pressing tab between each of the columns. So what we've learned in our previous classes is you have to use the result set object to get string or get date or get double, and it can get you stuff of a specific type. But if your record had objects or values of different data types, and as opposed to remembering them, who is at what column, you can rather call get object, which can get you any kind of an object. So this is sort of kind of a way for us to be able to read all types. Doesn't matter what is the data type inside the column. So that's another component I want to talk about here. In our next tutorial, which will be a continuation of this one, we'll talk about how I am displaying the column headings. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.